That would be my general simplified, explanation of that. So stacking fifths to build a scale, the circle of fifths. So I'm not going to give it in a circle here. You can look up the circle of fifths. We might look at it later, but I find that a lot of people don't actually know what a fifth is in half steps. And I'm going to talk about half steps now, even though Pythagoras didn't know about half steps, right? He was looking at ratios. He was doing the math. He didn't have 12 notes, but I'm going to show it to you with the 12 notes that we currently have that we talked about, which we'll get into in a second. So repeating the process of stacking perfect fifths. So he's looking at ratio-wise. He's stacking perfect fifths, which you can think of in a 12-note system that you take every 7 notes. So you count up 7 notes, and you're going to say, hey, look, there's only 12 notes in the musical alphabet. What if I keep counting up? Well, you're going to go past the octave. But that's okay if you go past the octave. It's going to repeat in our current system. So the pitches are going to repeat. So I'll show you that in a second. So he came up with the series of C, G, D, B, E, B, and F sharp. Now, if you rearrange these, you can see that these are our natural notes except the F sharp. Now, why did that happen? Well, notice when he does this, it doesn't come out perfect. The math doesn't come out perfect. So I don't want to get into this in detail, but you can basically see what happened later is we cut the thing up into 12 equal units between the octaves, and we're like, that last one doesn't work quite right, and so we're going to round it, we're going to fudge it, we're going to make it work, we're going to put the plug in from a bookkeeping standpoint, right? And then there's a bunch of history on how they did that and what kind of tweaks they made to basically make that last bit work, to make it evenly work throughout the system so you have equal spacing. But I don't want to get into that now. I just want to get the general idea. Collapsing these notes into single octave range gave rise to 7-note system. So these are the notes from the diatonic scale. So he did it mathematically, but let's imagine that we know the 12 notes. He didn't know the 12 notes. He's doing this with one string, right? But let's imagine we have the 12 notes and we've divided them out. How would we do this? Well, if I was on the C, I'd take a perfect fifth, which is 7 notes up. So we're going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would get to a G, and then I'm going to go 7 notes up from there, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've passed the octave. Here's the C. I've passed the octave. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about that. And then I'm going to keep on going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to keep going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And one more time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or one more time. Here's where the fudge happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gets me to an F sharp. We want it to be an F. It doesn't work out perfectly. There's a rounding difference, but it's pretty nice. So then if we take all of these notes and that spans through multiple octaves, you can see we went through C to C, another octave, and so on. So we went through multiple octaves, but if we squish them all into one octave and put it in order, then you get our 7 notes. You take these are the notes, you put them in order: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and of course, again, the F sharp is the funny one that they're gonna tinker with or whatever later once we do the 12 notes. So you can see that's the general. So that means that they had the 7-note. We can say collection of notes, or you can say scale if you play them upwise, pitchwise. That would be the scale. So they had the scale before they had the 12 notes because he's doing it in ratios. So here's a more accurate possibly picture with one string that he's using, and then he's using half the string, a fourth of the string, and he's figuring out his ratios, right? So why 7 notes? So the practical foundation of the scale, so the Pythagorean system yielded a coherent usable set. So you can imagine he's tinkering with this thing. This is how I imagine it, at least. He's tinkering with it. And then he's made this discovery. He's like, oh my goodness, if I stack the fifths, I come up with and then I scrunch all the numbers into one scale, it comes up with this cool set of 7 notes that all sound harmonically good together. Now, why do they sound harmonically good? He would say because they're perfect ratios. And that's how the universe is, man. That's like the more reality than like what we see and stuff. But obviously scientifically later, what are they going to say? Well, that's because whenever we hear something, there's always this harmonic series, And these things line up to some degree with the harmonic series. So scientifically, you can make the same kind of argument. And he would say, well, of course, scientifically that works because that's the way the gods, he had gods at the time, so we would say one God, that's the way God created things. That's of course, that's why the science worked, right? So chicken, the egg, what's the explanation? Okay, I don't know, but that's the idea. So those notes avoid harsh dissonance and provide enough variety for melody. So the diatonic system became the foundation of Western music because it works well with voices and simple instruments. So now you got a set of 7 notes that people can sing with and people can play different instruments. But it's somewhat limited because we're talking about just 7 notes. We haven't really got to other pitches, right? So we're just using these 7 notes. And so we'd like to have more colors in the crayon box if I could, because I'm getting bored. I want to make more colorful, like this thing. I want to make more colorful stuff.